Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
You're watching Now Let's Review. We're going to be reviewing the Navee V40 e-scooter next.
On Now Let's Review.
All right, so Jesse, I think price is the big thing when it comes to scooters. When you're in this kind of bottom of the barrel scooter, has no suspension, all that. They're fine. They're great for lots of uses, but let's get right to the price because I think that's what everyone's going to wonder.
So on Amazon, I was able to find this for $499 with a $100 coupon on Amazon, which would bring the price down to $399. But of course, that rounds up to $400.
Okay, so it's a $400 scooter, and that's what you'd expect for this level. Let's go into what it's got and see if it's worth $400.
All right, so right off the bat, we're talking about a 350 watt motor. They claim that it's 700 watts max. That'll be 700 watts peak. I think that when we're talking motors, I like to use the rated wattage, and that would be 350. They claim take you up hills of a 15% grade. No,
not true.
If you don't weigh anything,
right,
absolutely, it will take you up that. But
yeah, these scooters have a lot to do with your weight. So again, if you are buying this for like a student, who's a teenager or something, and they're a little bit lighter, then this is great. Yes. If you're on the heavier side, be careful because this would work okay on flat ground, but when you get to hills, no.
When we're talking about this scooter, it's important to know where you live, which is kind of weird. If you live in the United States, that's where you get the 350 watt motor. If you live in Europe, you only get 300 watts, and that's because of regulations.
Right.
And this means that also the top speed is limited in some markets. In Germany, Italy, Switzerland, and Poland, for example, the top speed is limited to 20 kilometers an hour. In other parts of the EU, such as France, Spain, and Australia, which is not part of the EU, you have a limit of 25 kilometers an hour. And if you live in the land of the free and the home of the brave, the US version gets 32 kilometers an hour, which is just about 20 miles an hour.
And honestly, for a budget scooter, that's fine. I really don't expect that you're going to want to go much faster than that.
Yes.
So it has a tiny battery. It's 36 volts, 7.6 amp hours. So if you multiply those together, you get 275 watt hours. And so that's going to determine your range. So what is the range?
Now, the reason it's called the V40 is because they claim that the range is 40 kilometers, but that's only if you're driving at 15 kilometers an hour. Let's just put this all into American units. This would be a range of 25 miles if you were traveling at 9 miles an hour.
Which is reasonable if it's leisure. That's a leisurely speed. So if you're trying to get to work, though, and you're trying to go as fast as you can, the range is going to drop right off.
Right. They say that you're going to have a range of around 13 and a half miles if you're going the top speed of 20 miles an hour. And I'm going to say that it's probably a little bit less than that. So you're probably looking at the 10 to 20 mile-ish range, which is pretty good for a budget scooter.
Okay, but if I ride this to work, how long is it going to take to charge?
4.5 hours from 0 to full.
Okay.
So if you went the full range on your way to work, it would take 4.5 hours to charge it up.
And how much does it weigh?
This scooter weighs 36 pounds. It folds and it latches, so you can lift it by the handle, I guess you'd call it.
A little heavy to lift, to be honest. 36 pounds is not light for such what you'd think of as the low-end scooter.
True.
What can it carry as a max payload?
Max payload is 265 pounds. I would say that it's probably going to be most comfortable in the 100 to 170 pound range in terms of riders and in terms of gradient. I don't think that you're going to hit the max gradient. I guess they call it the max gradient for a reason of 15%. I mean, what does max gradient even mean?
I mean, of course you're going to have a deceleration as you hit a hill, but
yes.
I feel like this isn't true. 15%. I think you'd be lucky to get a 10% gradient, which means that if you live in a hilly town or city, you're going to be walking this up hills.
Yeah, which can kind of stink. The other thing that can really stink is it has 10-inch pneumatic tires. Now, you have the advantage of having the pneumatics because it'll soak up some of those bumps. This scooter doesn't really have much in the way of suspension, so you're going to be relying on that air a lot. The problem is that these are tubed tires. And if you don't know the difference between tubed and tubeless tires, let me tell you, the tubed tires will pop all the time. It's not like they're going to explode. What happens is you have the tire, which is the hard rubber exterior, and then you have the tube, which is inside. And there's going to be some sand and grit that will get in between the tube and the tire wall. And that sand and grit is going to sit there and it's going to wear away the tube until one day you come out and your tires are going to be flat on the scooter, at least one of them.
Especially if you're accelerating a lot.
And the problem with that is that means that you're going to have a flat tire that you're going to need to fix on a scooter that costs you about $400.
Now, we made a video of how you can fix this. The problem is if it happens on the motor tire, then it's really hard to fix. If it happens on the other tire, it's moderately hard to fix.
Yes, I would say it's only to be done by people who kind of have some mechanical skills. Even then, you're going to want to get all the right tools. It's a hassle. And if you pay someone to do it, that's great, except that now you're paying someone to repair your $400 scooter. Feels a little foolish.
So it's got front and rear brakes, but you might be like, well, wait a minute, Zach, there's only a handle on the left. So when you pull that handle, what happens?
It's a cable brake to the rear wheel. And we were able to get the rear wheel to lock up and skid, which is not super great. The front brake, if you can call it that, is just the motor. They're using the motor in a braking capacity, and that will help slow you down, but it's not going to necessarily like bring you to that satisfying stop. That's what the rear wheel is for.
It is nice that there's one handle that does both brakes, because then it frees up your hand.
Sure.
You don't have to have both hands on both brakes, which you normally would have to do. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with this scooter is if you're going to use it as kind of a light enjoyment scooter, then it's fine. But if it's an everyday commuter scooter, it's not really meant for that. Lastly, here is the screen. It's got your speed, segmented battery. There's also the bell with the integrated latch, which is kind of cool. But yeah, let's just talk about who this is for. I feel like it's for a student, maybe someone on a campus with light scootering, maybe someone in a very nice, easy neighborhood and you just like to go get coffee or something. But if this is your 5-day-a-week commuter, I feel like in New York, it's just not going to last.
No, it would last you less than a year in a city like New York.
And I think even in a perfect world, the scooter probably won't go a whole year without something going wrong, probably the tires.
I can speak from experience. I had a scooter that was almost identical to this, and I went through, I think, 3 tubes in under a year.
My big recommendation, if you can, is to get yourself on a scooter first so that you know what you're looking for. We're showing you the dimensions here. Now, there is another cool feature I just want to point out, which is you can hide an AirTag in here. See how it goes in this little spot? You were telling me that if you have an iPhone, the AirTag app, you can tell if someone's got that installed.
Oh, any phone.
Oh, any phone. So
yes.
If I was a thief, I could find out if you had an AirTag hidden.
Within a fairly short period of time, I believe it's within about a day, any AirTag that is being visible by your phone will tell you that an AirTag is near you. So obviously, if someone has stolen your scooter with your AirTag in it, you're going to have a limited window to recover it before they discover that you have an AirTag. And because the scooter will freely allow you to fold it, it means that that person can find the AirTag and throw it away.
So what you're saying is you have 1 day to find your scooter.
You have about 1 day to find your scooter. This is the advantage of having a cheap scooter. It's less likely that someone's going to want to steal it. And if they do, it's less money to lose. AirTag is always a good idea.
What's interesting is with the app, it has an electric lock function. So you could get coffee, park it outside, put the electric lock on, and it wouldn't keep someone from throwing it in the trunk, but it would keep someone from riding away.
Right. And in fact, it'll kind of beep and prevent the motor from rolling. So they're not even going to be able to roll it.
That's pretty much all the app lets you do that's useful other than remaining mileage. So It's not that great. I do like that the charging port is located on the forward part, very easy to spot and out of the way of dirt and stuff. So a lot of these scooters, you have to reach around underneath to find the charging port. So this is kind of nice.
Not my favorite spot, honestly, for a charging port, because
where would you put it?
I would put it a little ways up the handle stem. It'll keep it out of the muck of everything, and it'll keep it away from your shoes, which are typically dirty. But overall, who cares?
Navee is a great brand. We've reviewed their other scooters, and there's so many versions of this scooter. So I don't really want to lock in on the V40 because you might be like, oh, I like the V60 instead, or the Pro. So what I would recommend is to go to their website and look and see what features you want, and then see if it fits in your price range. Well, I hope this was helpful to you guys, and let us know in the comments if you have questions or things you'd like us to review. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out. And don't forget to hit the bell button if you want to see our upcoming review videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Now let's review.